And now, welcome to 7 Questions with Emmy.
Hey guys, welcome back to 7 Questions with Emmy. My guest today is a co-host of The Five, the #1 show on cable news. She also co-anchors on America's Newsroom on the Fox News Channel. She served as the White House press secretary and recently released the New York best-time-selling book, I Wish Someone Had Told Me. And she's one of my favorite guests I've ever had on my show. So Dana Perino, it's so good to see you again.
Thank you, Emmy. I love that you remembered me. Thank you.
Oh, I could never forget you. Okay, are you ready to get started with the
Shoot.
questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is it hard to write a book, and how long did it take you to write I Wish Someone Had Told Me?
Um, I would say it is time consuming and yes, it's hard, but like we shouldn't be afraid of doing hard things, right? What is kind of hard is just making the time to do it and thinking of your idea and being patient and rewriting and being willing to listen to other people. And one thing I found that's very important, and this might be really good for you when you're doing your homework, is you have to turn off the other distractions. So for example, let's say I'm writing away and I keep getting notifications that there's an email, there's a text, there's a news story, and nothing that I really needed to do immediately, but my attention would be taken away from the screen of the book I was writing. So one thing I did was turn off my Wi-Fi when I'm writing on my computer. And I think it's a good discipline and practice because all of us, with all of these devices, we have a problem with attention spans, right? They get shorter, and we need to lengthen those attention spans because I can read a book pretty quickly, but writing a book takes more time and dedication. And I also love to do it. So it's hard, but in a good way. I find it to be an incredible challenge.
That's a really good idea that you had. So, did you ever think that you'd be like a part of the #1 show on cable TV news?
No, I did not. I did not. So when I grew up, I think I remember when you first came to interview me years ago. Remember I talked to your dad about how I, with my dad, would read the Rocky Mountain News and the Denver Post every day when he got home from work. And I always wanted to be in news. And what I am doing now is what I wanted to do. But it took me this long route to get here, right? You can't plan out your whole life. Your
Yeah.
life is going to determine your life. You can't plan out your life. So I thought that because I didn't think I wanted to work in local news all the way through my career, I decided not to do it and go to Washington, D.C. instead. Fast forward. After I worked in Washington at the Justice Department on Capitol Hill, at the White House Council on Environmental Quality, and then for the president in the press office as the press secretary, all that time leads me now to this point where I do get to be on the #1 show in all of television sometimes, but certainly of cable television. It's called The Five, and we will celebrate our 14th year on July 11th, 2025. So no, I never anticipated that, but that's the good stuff. And one of the things I write about, and I wish someone had told me, is that you can have loose plans. You can have goals, but you cannot plan out your whole life. You have to be open to opportunities, take chances, take risks, and just trust that if you are an educated American person, there's nothing you can't do. You just have to make really good decisions.
Congratulations, by the way, for
Thank
your
you.
anniversary. So, when I interviewed you a couple of years ago, we talked about me getting my ears pierced, and now I'm about to get braces. So,
Yeah.
did you have to wear braces, and do you have
Yes.
any tips for me?
Yes, I had to get braces. Oh, I'll tell you one thing. You know, when you get braces, I think they still do this where like every few months you have to go in to get them tightened.
Yeah.
Never, ever try to eat a grilled cheese sandwich after you do that. It is the worst thing I ever tried to do. My dad got mad at me. He's like, well, what are you thinking? I wasn't thinking. I was thinking I wanted a grilled cheese sandwich, but you have to follow the doctor's orders and don't try to eat stuff like that when you just have your braces tightened. But you'll be glad that you did it. And you know what? Now it's like cool. People like having braces.
I first I have to get an expander, so I'll have a gap in my teeth for a little bit, and
You
then
know
I'm
what?
gonna,
Some of the best actresses do.
yeah, we'll see.
But
I'm a
also
little
on the ear
nervous.
piercing, I do remember that. I remember when you were too scared and then you got them done. And now in the commercial break, you told me that you're thinking about getting another piercing in your ear, and I say no.
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 Well,
I think just wait. I think that if you're going to do that, you have to do that way when you're an adult. But I don't think even when you're an adult, I don't think you'll do it.
yeah, probably not, but I do want pink hair.
Okay, I temporary
Yes,
pink
temporary.
hair. Okay.
No. So if you could have dinner with anybody in the world, dead or alive, who would it be? Like, who
Oh,
would you
good.
choose?
Dead or alive?
Yeah.
Oh, I would love so much to have dinner with the great grandfather I never met on my father's side. Um, I think that his decision to leave Italy and to come and be a pioneer in America and to start a ranch in Wyoming and to have married my great grandmother, Rosie Perino, and raise those children that if I could just talk to him about, that decision to come to America for freedom and prosperity and opportunity, and for him to be able to see the result in
Yeah.
me, I think that would be an amazing dinner. I would love to do that. Thanks for
That
the
would
question.
be
That's a good
really
question.
cool. And do you have a favorite restaurant or somewhere that you'd have it at, the dinner?
Well, so my family comes from Italy, and here in New York City, there are so many Italian restaurants, right? One of my favorites right now is called Bad Roman, and it is very difficult to get an invitation or a reservation there. But the food is so good. The only thing is, I think I would have to ask for the private room because it can be a little loud, and I wouldn't want to miss out on what he had to say.
Yeah. Well, next time I come to New York, I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah, Bad
Sounds good.
Roman.
And also, my ancestors are from Italy also.
There you go.
Maybe we're related somehow.
Well, they certainly are at some point.
Yeah. And the next 7 questions interview I do with you, we're gonna have to find that out.
Okay, we'll go to 23andMe or Ancestry.com and check it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So we randomly ran into each other on a street in New York City a couple of years ago, and you were listening to an audiobook. So what is your favorite book of all time, would you say?
Oh, my favorite book of all time. Well, if I'm asked about like a novel that I loved, I have to say that Anne Patchett's Patron Saint of Liars really was a most wonderful, fabulous work of fiction. And I don't have it here. I just looked up at my bookshelf. It's not at this office, it's at home. I actually got an original copy from her signed, and that really meant a lot to me. She's a great writer. In your future, when you're an adult, you can read those. Um, when I was a kid, I loved a book called A Wrinkle in Time. Have you read that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you need to read that. I read that over and over and over again when I was about your age. I absolutely loved it and highly recommend it. Okay, so you have to get that. A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline L'Engle is her name. And then I think a book that really had an effect on me was Peggy Noonan's book, What I Saw at the Revolution. She worked for Ronald Reagan as a speechwriter.
Yeah.
And I loved learning all about that time. And she's such a great writer. She writes in the Wall Street Journal every Friday. And also, she's become a friend. I got a chance to work on her book of a collection of essays and columns that she had done. And I was the editorial director on that book. So it's interesting because I didn't know her when I first read her book, but it had a profound effect on me. So then I meet her later on and she becomes a friend, like you.
That's really cool. Yeah. Can you tell me what you like the best about Greg, Jesse, Jessica, and Harold, your 5 co-hosts?
Yes, all of those people. Yes, sure. So with Greg, he's like the brother I never wanted, but I love him. And one of the things I like most about him is that he is an independent thinker. And he also, he can have a gruff exterior, but he has helped me so much to become a professional broadcaster and to be willing to be myself and to have confidence in myself. And that's really a gift to give to another human. And I really will never forget that. That's one thing I love about him. Jesse Waters makes me laugh so much. I absolutely adore him. And he's such a great writer. People don't realize that. Like his 2 books are so good. I read every word of them. I read them in one day so that I could get my feedback to him. I love that. Jessica Tarlov, she's so amazing. Every day she will come to the show and have something specific for all of us. That she's very good at pop culture. Her father worked in television and movies. So she will say, Dana, I saw this show. It's perfect for you. But Greg would hate it. Greg, this one's for you. Jesse, here's this one for you or your children. And I think that's so sweet. And then Harold Ford Jr., look, we all said we would quit our jobs if he runs for president. We would all go and work for him. One thing about him, Emmy, is that he still, to this day, at age 55, has friends from when he was 5 years old. And
Wow.
that is the measure of a really good person, right? A person of good character who has worked really hard to develop those friendships and to keep them close. And he has an amazing network of people. So we're blessed. We work with some good people around here.
Yeah, that's very cool. So I loved meeting your dog Jasper, who passed away sadly, and you wrote a book about him. Do you plan to write a book about your new dog, Percy?
Percy. I don't think I'll write a book about Percy, but I do love that dog. He is so funny. Also, I have to say, I think that my first dog, Henry, and then Jasper, they were absolutely gorgeous dogs and athletic and amazing. Percy is the fastest dog I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
And also, he is probably the most beautiful. If you look at a full-on shot of his face, he's completely symmetrical. It's unbelievable. He's so beautiful, but he's also not very good on TV. Jasper was great on TV. He would love just sit there and he would look right into the camera like he was reading the teleprompter. Percy's a disaster, so he's not been on TV very much. I might try it again this summer sometime, but he's not very good.
That's fun. Well, I'm glad that you have Percy now. I want to
Yeah.
see a video of him running.
And Percy also, he became a father.
Oh, really?
So my friend Kelly, who owns the Little Point Bookshop, that's been very supportive of this book, she owns Sullivan, and that's one of the litter that Percy had with another dog called Blush.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So now I have some bonus questions for
Okay.
you. Bonus questions. So are you ready? Get
Ready?
started with them?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you most looking forward to this summer?
I have made a decision to not be as overscheduled as I was the last 2 summers. And that means that I have decided to end taking tennis lessons. I aspire to be a tennis player. I admire the sport. I don't get better. I've taken lessons for years. I spend so much money and it takes a lot of time and it takes me away from my home, from Percy, from my guests, and from being able to really regroup. And I feel like it's just too much pressure. So I am looking forward to having a little bit more personal time outside of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like,
It,
like I was just doing too much.
yeah.
I had to back down a little bit. So I'm looking forward to having just a little bit more time.
Yeah, that's exciting and fun. How often do you talk to former President Bush?
Um, every couple weeks.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
and it's mostly just a note here and there. Sometimes I'll send him a haiku, or if I see an article that I like, or like if somebody says, "Please tell President Bush I said hello," I will send him a note. Just always just nice things back and forth.
yeah, that's
I
very
heard from him on my birthday on May
oh,
9th.
that's very nice.
Yeah.
So I'm starting middle school in the fall, and last time I interviewed you, you gave me good advice about speak like a lion, not a mouse. And so now I want to ask you for a good piece of advice that you can give me for middle school.
Okay. Going into middle school, here's what you need to know. And your parents have told you this since you were a little girl, but even at my age, I have to be reminded over and over again, and I say it in this book. Just when you think that everybody else is thinking about you and talking about you and judging you, the answer is they are not. Human beings only think about themselves, right? And you can try to think about other people, but when something happens, everybody's very self-interested. And you can get caught up in middle school and all the things that are going on socially, but it's a really important time to invest in your academics. So I would say that's my piece of advice for you and your friends. Don't get caught up in the social part of it, the gossip, etc. Just know that you are not being judged by other people. And I think that you should be really cautious about doing social media at your age. Okay. Like, I don't necessarily think that it's good for your brain or your heart or your character development. So, to the extent that people can get off the social media train at this point for a few more years, I think it's a good idea.
Thank you so much for talking with me, Dana. It's always good to talk to you and
Thank
see
you.
you.
Well, it'll be fun to go to Bad Roman with you someday.
Okay. Next time I come to New York, we'll let you know.
Okay.
Then I
Thank you
can
so
meet
much.
Percy. Thank
Yes,
you
of
so
course.
much. It's
Of
always
course.
amazing to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for watching. Remember, new 7 questions and interviews are posted every Thursday. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Love you guys. Bye.